Tom Marvolo Riddle. After graduating from Hogwarts, quits his job at Borgin & Burke's and mysteriously disappears. 1955, the year of the scandal. House elf murders her own mistress, Hepzibah Smith, descendant of the ancient Hufflepuff family. Death by poisoning. Cold case. And yet, I'm still smelling dark magic here. I promise, Tom. I, Grisha McLagan, heir of Gryffindor, will stop you.
Gentlemen, the time's come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I'm Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Justin Cristelli, aka The Real Manos. Hello, Justin.
Hey, Sid, what's up?
Oh, not a lot, but we do have a special guest. That's what's up. Manos' wife is joining us. Hello.
Hello.
Introduce yourself to the people, if you would.
I'm Lindsay Cristelli. I'm Mrs. Manos.
Awesome. Lindsay is joining us because she is a big Harry Potter fan, and when I picked this, Justin mentioned that, and I was like, oh, I'm really curious to hear what she thought of it, and I did not expect her to join us for the review, but that'll be really cool. So this will be an exclusive episode of Geeky Gentlemen. It'll be Geeky Gentleman and Lady. I actually made a whole title card and everything for when we have female guests on, so you're going to be the first person I use that with. Good.
Yay!
Oh, that's great. She beat Curious Lo to the punch. That's great.
Yeah, I know. Like, I felt bad because I'd had Lo on like 2 or 3 episodes. I'm like, yeah, you know, I've done enough times where I've had a woman on that I should probably be more inclusive.
Yeah.
So anyway, today we're talking about a Harry Potter fan film called Voldemort Origins of the Heir. And this is a really interesting thing I'd heard about a couple months ago. Someone sent me a trailer for it, and so I immediately subscribed based on the quality of that trailer. And I've been really excited to see what they'd come out with, and they just released this at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2018. And I think that this is one of the better produced fan films we've talked about on here, though I do still have some major production issues that I want to talk about with it eventually. But I'm just curious, what did you guys generally think about it? We'll start with Justin.
Oh, okay. I was thoroughly impressed with it, although I'm getting to the point where fan films that have some kind of hullabaloo, I'm usually impressed with them. Because, you can't constantly go to them thinking you're only going to see maybe a couple guys in a garage in crappy costumes, and, you're always impressed to see, like, really nice settings and landscapes and cinematography. So you're always, like, I always set the bar so low when I watch a fan film, so when one of them comes along that looks like that, I'm usually pretty impressed by it. The story itself, I thought, was really well maintained, and I think they did a pretty effective job trying to make it feel like it's part of the Potterverse, where we kind of dig into Tom Riddle's history, which is actually, this story almost feels a little bit more like what's her name? Greta?
Grisha?
Grisha. I guess spoilers, but it feels like we're following Grisha, but I guess we're not following Grisha. And what's funny is 2 weeks in a row we've done a film that uses interrogation.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Huh.
And matter of fact, I was thinking about for next week doing the Power Rangers Dark one with Katie Sackhoff, but that has an interrogation. So,
too much interrogation. We need more variety. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I believe it's probably a good. If you're making a shorter film and you don't have a huge budget, I think the interrogation setup is a good way to kind of like tell the story and push it along, and they use it really well in this.
Okay. Lindsay, being the Harry Potter fan, what did you think of this?
Well, I thought it was beautifully shot. I mean, the camera work for the most part, especially for the landscapes and the wide shots, was really gorgeous. And the effects and the costumes were great. I have problems with the story.
Okay.
Just because it's very non-canon, so...
Well, I mean, that's like what fan fiction is, right?
Yeah.
And fan films are kind of an extension of that. No, I agree. Yeah. Like, I was trying to remember, because it's been years since I've read the book, and they don't go into Voldemort's, becoming Voldemort phase that much in the movies. But, like, I remember that it had to do, like, in Deathly Hallows and Half-Blood Prince, they talk about, Harry exploring how Tom got to that point, and they talk about, like, Harry getting to see Tom in interviews when he was trying to be the professor of Defense Against the Dark Arts and stuff like that, and how he looked more snake-like at that point, but still had the nose. And I remember vaguely stuff like that, but this obviously adds its own big blend of things with adding in the other heirs of the different houses, which, as far as I know, has never really been gone into in the Harry Potter stuff. Like,
that's the thing. There are no other heirs. Mm-hmm. He's the only one who's definitely an heir of one of the house founders.
So, like, all the characters, Wiglaf, Grisha, and Lazarus, as well as Hepzibah Smith, are all completely fan-created for this.
Well, no, Hepzibah is in the book. She's in a flashback sort of scene with when Dumbledore was showing Harry people's memories about Voldemort. Mm-hmm. He showed one House Elves memories about the scene where Voldemort gets the necklace.
Oh, okay. See, I completely forgot about that.
Canon scene in this movie.
Interesting. So, okay, so that's a neat way to tie that all in and make her, I guess, retroactively then an heir of Hufflepuff.
Yeah, in the book she's not specifically supposed to be the heir, but she does say the line about, my family, might not like it if I show you, my cup. So.
So that's a bit of an interesting fan, reading into a line and kind of spin their own thing out of it then. I really like stuff like that. See, I don't mind that they added the other heirs here, particularly with magic being in the Harry Potter universe such a, genealogical thing a lot of the time, where it's passed down through families. You got, obviously, the entire Draco family, the entire Weasley family are all magic, so it would make sense that the founders of Gryffindor would have, descendants that were still practicing magic and living in the area. And I kind of like the idea of pitting Tom Riddle up against them and juxtaposing him against them in a really interesting way. And I also really like the way that this kind of ties in to the Horcruxes, because the implication that I got from this is they say in the original books and movies that in order to create a Horcrux, you have to split off a piece of your soul, and the best way to do that is to commit a murder. So Voldemort, being kind of pompous and stuff, put his Horcruxes in things that have a connection to the founders of Hogwarts. And I like the idea and the implication in this, that he created those Horcruxes in those things by killing the other heirs.
That is an interesting take on it. I did think that was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really interesting way to integrate it all together. And so I mean, I like it because it takes what is kind of a contrivance of, Voldemort went to school with the other heirs, and makes it actually work and helps it layer the ideas implicit behind it, I think.
Yeah, I had a question. Is it just lost to time of the other heirs of the different houses in the various Harry Potter books?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
No
so,
one knows if there is an heir or
Okay.
is a descendant. For
Voldemort's the only known descendant.
yeah,
Okay.
he's the only known one.
Well, that's kind of cool. Where they fill in the blanks that way. It's almost a way of like him becoming more powerful, taking out each one of them. Building up to this story. I just think that's a nice use of that idea.
Yeah, me too. Like, for me, I have some complaints that I want to get into with this one, but really, the more I've thought about the story, like, initially I was like, oh, okay, with the reveal that Grisha McLagan, which is just a fun name to say, McLagan, with the reveal that she's actually dead at the end, that she was sacrificed to create the Horcrux of Tom Riddle's diary, I found really, really, a bit of a head scratcher and like, well, this doesn't really make much sense, but that one I might still have a problem with. I need to go through this another time and see if they do enough hinting at that, but I started rewatching it a little bit, and they do a lot of visual cues to let you know that's not actually her, literally right from the beginning, wherein it's like a close-up on Tom Riddle's face, and he closes his like very blue eye, closes it, and then it cuts to her opening her eyes in the Soviet compound, and she's got the very same bright blue eyes, and so that's your first, I feel, huge hint that, oh, that's not really her. Or
That's
that
a nice subtle tick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go through it again and see if there's more of that to really implicate it. I think the biggest contrivance has to be that, she's hooked up to the potion that's I forget the name of it, but it's truth serum.
Veritaserum.
Yeah, so it's like they straight call it out, like, unless you're immune to Veritaserum. I'm like, well, do we really get an answer for that? Is Voldemort somehow immune to Veritaserum? Like, he's already doing some kind of crazy magic transfiguration to not use Polyjuice Potion and turn into this other woman. But yet, now he's able to also take on this, what I have to assume is pretty effective potion. So, like, story-wise, there's some details where I'm a little iffy on.
Well, I'm guessing since everything he is saying is technically true, even though it's not true from, his point of view, since that even if he's mostly immune to it, I guess, it would still be telling the truth. I don't know.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective.
Voldemort also does love hearing himself talk.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a bastard.
Yeah, and like it's interesting because they've never really, as far as I know, gone into exactly what the effects of the truth serum are. If like you have to tell nothing but the truth while you're on it, or if you just have to answer questions honestly, that could be a very, because like the general Markarov doesn't ask a lot of direct yes or no questions.
Right.
He kind of just takes it for granted that Grisha is Grisha. And so you could maybe finagle that if you... I don't know. I feel like I've got complaints here and there about the story, but nothing too big. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, actually, I think you can finagle this enough that it works.
Yeah. He never did ask her, hey, are you really Voldemort?
Yeah.
Right?
Are you really who you are? Yeah, that would have been the ultimate test. That might have been a cool, like if Voldemort wasn't immune to it, that might have been a fun little moment.
That was, like, the story I think holds together really well. The acting is an interesting little beast here, because I feel like there are really good voice actors, and there are really good physical actors, but the quality of the dub-in makes those two really, like, it constantly pulls your attention. At least that's what I had.
Yeah, I got that. Especially there are parts, they tend to focus on people's mouths a lot, which really takes, which really shows off the not great dubbing.
Yeah. It's like in that crappy Aladdin animated film that Phalis was reviewing. We was talking about how bad the hands were animated, and they're constantly in the shots, like showing off the crappy take on hands. Oh, that's not a good idea to focus on the one thing you might have some trouble with.
Yeah.
Well, like, what's weird to me is, I don't know anything about these actors, so maybe they're not native English speakers, but...
I think they're Italian,
it's an
right?
Italian production.
Okay, well, that's interesting, because, like, some of the close-ups, that doesn't look like they're filling it in with English words. It looks like they are saying the English line to me.
Maybe they're trying... Maybe they did sort of learn phonetically the script, but their accents are going to be like far too noticeable.
Yeah.
So they most likely went with English speaking actors.
I mean, that's certainly possible. It's weird. I'm
Voldemort.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's really interesting because people don't realize that dubbing just used to be the way these things were done more often than not. Like the original Star Wars trilogy, it's all dubbed in after the fact. As far as the dialogue you hear. And so it's not that you can't get away with that and have it sound good. It's just something about this, it's not quite there. God damn it, of course. It's something about it is not quite there, and I think that maybe it has something to do with whether or not the audio was placed in a surround format. Because as I was listening, I watched half of this on headphones, and I watched it once all the way through, just with my television set. And, like, the TV set, I didn't quite notice it as much, but watching it with headphones, it felt like a lot of the dialogue was just all coming from one spot. It didn't sound like it was coming... there were characters, like, across the room from each other, and it didn't sound like those voices were across the room. So maybe there was something with that made it just stand out a little bit more. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're big fans of old movies and B movies and foreign movies and stuff like that. So we've seen our share of dubbing. We've seen it fairly done well, and some mostly not done well. And I did notice halfway through the film that oh wait, this is pretty dubbed.
Yeah.
And my first thought was a lot of the scenes seem to be shot in areas that were, they looked loud, like the waterfall scene, for instance. So my first thought was, they're obviously dubbing because they couldn't get proper mic sound on location. But no, I mean, once we got done finished watching, Lindsay looked it up and realized that it was a tie-in production. So, and you can also see in the credits there are different voice actors. And separate from the live action actors. So yeah, this was very. I wonder if there's an Italian version of this,
I'd almost rather watch that because it'd probably be a little less distracting. Which is weird for me to say because I'm usually the person that hates subtitles, and I'll say give me a dub any day. But I don't know. I wasn't prepared for I was constantly distracted by the dub of this one.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
And the thing is,
it's a really well-made film.
Oh, it is.
Lindsay, go ahead.
But I was going to say, it's not that the dub actors are bad. It's just they're tiny bit out of sync with the mouths. It's like they were just reading the lines. They weren't watching the mouth movements as they were recording.
Yeah,
and they did their best to line it up.
Yeah.
I'd say the one that had, I think, the most trouble was the guy playing Wiglaf, who was the heir of Ravenclaw. That was one of the ones where, the inflections and the volume of the voice, given the, facial expression on the actor, just didn't quite line up, and I was like, it sounds like he's trying to be quiet or something,
Yeah.
Maybe he's recording and someone's in the other room and he doesn't want to yell, "Enough of this crap!" So,
Mom, I'm recording a movie!
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they did it in a studio. It's certainly on a professional level of quality. Just the way everything is shot is gorgeous. The integration of effects, the costuming. I love that that Grisha has a coat with, a fur collar, because I've seen imagery of Godric Gryffindor, and he's got, a big furry coat kind of thing on. He kind of looks like Hagrid a little bit. So that was just kind of cool to see that little visual nod. And she's kind of wearing like the fur is kind of a goldish color in some of the highlights, and the coat's kind of like a burgundy reddish color. So I thought that was really cool way to visually cue you to that.
That's a good point. I really did like. There's a lot of production value put into this. I think this was a $15,000 budget.
15,000 euros.
Euros, okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, the wardrobe is quite good. I mean,
yeah.
It does look like it's like a chapter out of this film series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the wardrobe and the sets. They were all great. They looked professional.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice with Harry Potter because so much of the merchandising is just, school uniforms and stuff. So, like, Haley and I'm not married to you, Lindsay. I'm married to my wife, Haley. Haley and I, for our honeymoon, we went to Universal Studios, and they had the Harry Potter land, and you could go into the shops and buy the school robes and all that stuff, and it looks, right off the screen. So I imagine they probably they may have sewn their own. I don't want to assume anything, but like quality-wise, it looks, just as good.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I wouldn't have faulted them if they bought costumes.
Especially since they're so easy to find.
Yeah, and it would be like probably cheap
smart move
and easier.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, school uniforms have that kind of like manufactured feel to them anyway. So I don't know. I if that was available to them, I have no problem with them doing that. I probably would have done that. But some of the other costumes, like,
it's one of the ones you can get away with.
Like the Soviet wizards, which
that was cool.
Looked really cool. That was very, like, especially the ones with the masks. That was kind of Mike Mignola-ish in some regard.
It was neat. My favorite thing about Harry Potter is obviously the world building, and I never once thought, oh yeah, what was the magical community in Russia's reaction to the Soviet Revolution? That's a thought that never crossed my mind until this. And now I'm just like, oh my god. Did the whole Cold War dynamics affect the Soviet wizard world too? That sounds awesome. Was there a magical Cold War? I want this in my life now.
Yeah.
And extra points for them not name-dropping Rasputin. Oh.
Yes.
Like,
as a wizard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that would have been the first thing you'd think of, Russia, Soviets, wizards. Oh, Rasputin! No, they didn't even do that.
Yeah.
Man, also, like, what was the old lady's name again, that character?
Hepzibah.
Hepzibah. I mean, like, her costuming was really good.
Mm-hmm. The location
and
for her house looked really good. It looked like a proper, old wizard's house kind of thing. Or wizard's house, I suppose.
And I was stupidly impressed by the owls.
Right?
Like, did they get owls to be in this movie? And, like, and they're not like puppies where you can just find them anywhere.
I know, right? Like, where do you... It reminds me of this old Cat Williams joke. I think it's Cat Williams, where he's like, you don't even understand how rich Michael Jackson was. Like, where would you even go about buying a giraffe? It's just like, you probably called the zoo. So, like, yeah, where do you go to even just get owls? Did they get a production company that rents out owls? Did they find someone with an owl farm?
I don't know what things are like, in Europe and Italy, but there are, and here in the U.S. there are, farms and zoos, and not zoos, but animal sanctuaries that rent out animals for productions. Because when I was a kid, we went down to Florida to the Gatorland Zoo, and that's where all the alligators in movies come from. This one really zoo in Florida.
That's cool. No, I mean, it's one of those things. It is immediately immersive. It is incredibly effective at just making you think that this is Hogwarts,
Oh, yeah.
The CG shots of the castle look beautiful. I'm pretty sure they created those themselves. They look beautiful. They're almost unnecessary just because of how effective having fucking owls is. Like, I'm the guy that loves CG and everything. And I feel sorry to say this to whoever made that castle if it was done specifically for this, but, like, dude, you almost didn't need to because just damn, the damn owls did your job for you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Having both is just, it's above and beyond, but the owls, I feel, steal the show for me.
Glad you agree. And also, the CG shots were not overdone. They didn't, like, stick on them way too long.
It just looked like it looked like really effective, natural production establishing shots, which is great. Like it's shown there, and it makes it more believable. It makes it more immersive, but it's not shown off to the point where like, okay, yeah, we get it. You're a fan film, and you got this introduced in there. Good for you. Let's get on with the story. It's perfectly used.
And not to mention the elves.
Oh, those are really well done.
Yeah.
The house elf.
The house elf. We only saw quick shots of them, but when they were there, they looked pretty convincing. They looked maybe just like a hair.
I would
close
say it's,
to.
I'd say it's actually above the appearance of Dobby in the first or the second Harry Potter film. Because they've never gone back and updated the CGI for the early Harry Potter films, and it's really dated. It doesn't look quite as good as Creature did in what is the fifth and seventh movie. But it's right in between there, and so it fits in well with the level of CG that we've seen throughout the Harry Potter films. So I found it perfectly
for the budget. For the budget, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because a lot of people, like when they're on a small budget, they use that as an excuse. But I mean, if you make every shot count and put the money into those specific shots, you can get away with a lot. And they definitely knew what they were doing with that.
Yeah,
I'd agree. I thought a lot of this was just incredibly effective, incredibly really well done. And it's unfortunate that the audio becomes as distracting as it does, but I talked about this with you last week, man. Bad audio, and this isn't even bad, it's noticeable. But poorer quality audio actually affects the overall production in your head a lot more, because even if you have stellar stuff left and right, which this does, like I love the magic battles too. Even if you have stellar stuff, the audio becomes distracting, and it makes you focus on it, so it diminishes the overall quality, which is unfortunate. But the visuals, the level of direction done with this is really, really impressive.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, even if you're subconsciously like drawn back a little bit because of the technical gap, with in this case the audio. Thankfully they have enough really kind of to back that up to like refocus you. Because if like this production, like the story was piss poor, if like the acting was off on either the audio or the visual acting, then that would have been even more so of a problem. But it keeps, if you're pushed away, the film and the story pulls you back. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. We haven't talked a lot about the acting quality, and one thing we haven't mentioned at all, and I didn't notice until I looked it up on their website. Did you guys notice that we have different actors for them at school versus them in like the world?
Yeah, I noticed.
I did not pick up on that on my first watch through. I thought, Tom Riddle, like, I thought he looked exactly the same. I thought they did a really good job. I just assumed it was, some makeup effects and different hairstylings and stuff to make him look younger and older. No, it's a completely different actor, and it's really well integrated, because I didn't pick up on that. Or on the Wiglaf character. I did not, and I'm saying that wrong, I know it, but whatever. I did not pick up on him being a different actor either. I thought they literally just shaved the dude's head and had him grow a beard, and it looked incredibly effective. That tattoo on that dude's head is super interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the fact that he has a whole life in between those two scenes.
Right?
Where, he's still a kid with the two, tattoos below his eyes, which connects you as a viewer to go, oh, this guy is this guy later. Which is really clever. And it's like, he's seen some shit. He's lived his life, man.
The actor that plays Voldemort, I really, really liked. Like, when he is in that scene and about to kill Hepzibah Smith, man, those eyes, oh god, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so deliciously evil. It feels just like, yes, this is going to be the guy that decides to cut off his nose and look like a snake. Man, I really like that scene. That was really good.
Yeah.
That build up, that turn is so wonderful. And Yeah, the physical actor as well as the voice actor, I think for Tom Riddle specifically, I think does a pretty decent Ray Fiennes. Not to the point where I thought it was an impression, but it felt like he studied his inflections and cadence a little bit. So, on certain line reads that felt a lot like Ray Fiennes delivered. So. Yeah, I enjoyed the Russian general a lot.
Oh yeah.
This crusty, blind in one eye, Soviet wizard general.
Soviet wizard. I know what I want to be when I grow up now. I want to get that printed on business cards. Ian Harrington, Soviet wizard. Anyway, yeah, I mentioned it briefly, but Lindsay agreed with me. You guys like the effects for the magic battles and stuff too.
Oh yeah, I thought those were really well done. Yeah,
those looked really cool. It's interesting to talk about because Rasco and I did another fan film that was Severus Snape and the Marauders that did a lot of magic battling, and like the effects in there were pretty decent but looked a little flat. These really well integrated. Like it feels like it has proper depth and dimension to it, which is really cool. And it just felt like a duel. Like Harry Potter has kind of. I feel like a lot of the duels in the movies weren't really well visualized because it just felt like a bunch of pew pew pew. This really felt like a proper duel, like with the connected beam battles, to borrow a term from Dragon Ball Z. The connected beam struggle on the wands just looked really cool. It was really well shot. I think they did that maybe even a little better than the WB films.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. What are we at on time wise? Oh yeah, we're well over where we need to be. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up with this one before we move on to ratings?
I don't know if it was because it was Italian originally, but some of the dialogue was a little clunky, I guess. Okay.
Do you have like an example in mind?
Specifically, the scene where young Voldemort and I can't remember the main girl's name are standing
Grisha
McLaggen.
They're standing around, and she's talking about Quidditch, and then all of a sudden he has this turn to like everything is serious, and then I don't know, and then she goes, "You will be the greatest wizard." There were a few parts like that. They were just like, you guys are trying a little too hard with this. So.
Yeah, it's weird because I do think there are some moments where the scenes are a little much, but overall, I don't know. I've seen some pretty cringy fan films, and this dialogue-wise didn't really stand out that much to me, though.
Yeah, there was just a few scenes like that. Most of the interrogation parts were great.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I thought those were really well written.
I would agree to that. I may be a sucker for interrogation.
Yeah.
Interrogation and boardroom scenes.
Yes. No, fuck boardroom scenes. Don't get me wrong. I can live the whole rest of my life without seeing another boardroom scene in a comic book movie.
Okay. Well,
interrogation scenes, I'm kind of a sucker for.
Well, it's funny. Everything after Dark Knight did it,
Interrogation scenes are great because you can get all of this backstory without it being exposition-y.
Because it's just naturally
characters talking to each other.
Yeah, and a character trying to dig information out. So therefore, hey, that information might be story information.
Yeah.
Cool. I've written an interrogation scene or two. They are fun to write. But and they have this level of like tension because guy 1 wants that information from guy 2. Anyway, that's it.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to ratings then. Manos, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. So I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 Voldemort noses.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it is really well done. Unfortunately, the audio does distract the hell out of me, and I don't really know what more they could have done. It feels like they probably did their best job with what they know how to do as far as dubbing it in. So I'm going to go ahead and give this 4 out of 5 cups with badgers on them that create an ominous turn to the conversation. And Lindsay?
Yeah,
Lindsay.
I'm going to give it a little lower. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 Horcruxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Manos, what will we be reviewing next time?
Yeah, we were talking about this Godzilla film before we started recording, and I think I really want to see that one and talk about it. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm really excited.
Okay, Godzilla Battle Royale it is. Cool. All right, everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the realist.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we are your geeky gentleman and lady, and we will be discussing things.